Good day, everyone! To all the listeners and televiewers, my dear parents, especially to the grade 9 students, are you ready to experience a very challenging task for this school year? Welcome to Bamboo Palace 12. This is your school on air in Science Grade 9, and I am Teacher Teresa, your teacher on air. To our grade 9 students, find your most comfortable space at home and make sure to grab your learning module at this moment and tune in to DWND-FM at CMB Cable Vision Channel 11 and also streaming live on Respiratory Facebook page. Today, we are going to start a historical and exciting adventure in studying science. Yes, it is, because this is the first ever experience of having this kind of schooling throughout the ages. Are you ready, my dear students? I have two reminders for you. First, answer the questions after the discussion. Second, prepare your module, your pen, and your answer sheet. Module 1, Milk 1 is divided into two lessons. Lesson 1, the Respiratory System. Lesson 2, the Circulatory System. After going through this module, you are expected to: number 1, explain how the respiratory and circulatory systems work together to transport nutrients, gases, and other molecules to and from the different parts of the body. Number 2, describe and label the parts of the breathing system. Number 3, identify the components of the circulatory system. And number 4, trace the path of the blood through the heart, to the lungs, and to the rest of the body. Let us now proceed to our first lesson. Our body is a fascinating creation that it can carry out incredible tasks and activities. It is like a machine that is able to function with proper organization of parts and systems. However, our bodies also require proper care and maintenance. It is just fitting to keep going with a healthy lifestyle to ensure that each part is maintained while getting the most of it. In 5 seconds, let's breathe in and breathe out. Let's feel the air coming from the nose. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. Did you feel the air coming to your nose? Or into your throat? Or into the lungs? This is the mechanism of breathing. The air we breathe goes through the nose, nasal passages, and then through trachea or windpipe, which separates into 2 branches, called bronchial tubes or bronchi, one entering each lung. The bronchi subdivide many times in the lungs, analogous to the branching pattern of veins. Finally, we come here like tubes called bronchioles. In the last part of the terminal bronchioles are tiny bowel-like branched structures called alveoli or ear sacs. The diaphragm contracts when we breathe in, and the diaphragm relaxes when we breathe out. We are going to recall the different parts of the respiratory system. Do you want to sing? Do you know the song I Have 2 Hands? You are going to sing with me in the tune of I Have 2 Hands. Let's start now. I from the song we had, how many lungs do we have? We have 2 lungs. What are the parts of the lungs mentioned in the song? The first one, we have the trachea. The second one, we have the bronchi. The third one, we have the bronchioles. And the last one, we have the fourth one, the alveoli. Can you now define the respiratory system? Respiratory system is also known the ventilatory system. It is a biological system consisting of specific organs and structures used for gas exchange in animals and plants. It is also made up of the organs in the body that help us to breathe. Just remember that the word respiration is linked to breathing. Breathing or ventilation is the process of moving air into and out of the lungs to facilitate gas exchange with the internal environment, mostly by bringing in oxygen and flushing out carbon dioxide. Breathing is central to life as it allows the human body to obtain the energy it needs to sustain itself and its activities. It is also refers to the process of inhaling and exhaling like what we did a while ago. For medical definition, it is the integrated system of organs involved in the intake and exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide between the body and the environment, and including the nasal passages, larynx, trachea, bronchial tubes, and lungs. It is also the network of organs and tissues that help you breathe. In a very simple definition, remember this. It is a series of organs responsible for taking in oxygen and expelling carbon dioxide. What are the 5 functions of the respiratory system? Number 1, gas exchange. It is the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide. So when we breathe in, we inhale oxygen. And if we breathe out, we exhale carbon dioxide. Number 2, breathing. In animals and human, breathing is the movement of air. In plants, it releases oxygen through their leaves and it is also called the respiration. Number 3, sound production. Phonation is the creation of sound by structures in the upper respiratory tract of the respiratory system. During exhalation, air passes from the lungs through the larynx or voice box. When we speak, muscles in the larynx move the arytenoid cartilages. Number 4, olfactory assistance or sense of smell is the sensory system used for smelling or also called the olfaction. That's why we can censor odors. Number 5, protection. Protection from dust and microbes entering body through mucus production, cilia, and coughing. So do not remove the hair of your nose or the cilia because God provided for our protection. It prevents the dust entering our body. What are the parts of the respiratory system? The parts of the respiratory system that are in charge in supplying of oxygen are the following. Number 1, the nose. The nose is the organ through which the air enters and is filtered. Number 2, the nasal passageways. Number 2, Nasal passageways serves as channel for airflow through the nose in which the air is warm, cleaned, and moistened. In the nose and nasal passages, the entering air is made warm, damp, and clean of unknown particles. Number 3, the lungs. Number 3, the lungs. Each of the pair of organs situated within the rib cage, consisting of elastic sacs with branching passages into which air is drawn, so that oxygen can pass into the blood and carbon dioxide be removed. And number 4, the diaphragm. Number 4, the diaphragm. A large flat muscle that separates the lungs from the stomach area and that is used in breathing. What are the major parts of the lungs? Number 1, trachea. It is also called the windpipe. It is the empty tube that serves as passageway of air into the lungs. Number 2, bronchi, also called the bronchial tubes, are the two branching tubes that connect the trachea to the lungs. Number 3, the bronchioles. It is the finer subdivisions of the bronchi. It is also a tiny hair-like tubes that connect the alveoli. Number 4, alveoli, also called the air sacs. It allows gas exchange in the lungs. The next figure is the human lungs. On the top of the lungs, we have the windpipe or the trachea. On the left part, we have the left lobe, left bronchi, and the alveoli. On the right side of the lungs, we have the right lobe, right bronchi, secondary bronchi, bronchiole, and the pleura. Below the lungs, we have the diaphragm. The table shows the rate of breathing. For a toddler, 1 to 3 years old, the normal respiratory rate is from 24 to 40 per minute. Preschooler, 4 to 5 years, 22 to 34 per minute. School age, 6 to 12 years old. Normal respiratory rate is from 18 to 30 per minute. Adolescent, from 13 to 18 years old, 12 to 16 per minute. A person's respiratory rate is the number of breaths you take per minute. The normal respiration rate for an adult at rest is 12 to 20 breaths per minute. A respiration rate under 12 or over 25 breaths per minute while resting is considered abnormal. In this pandemic period, it is very important to know our respiratory rate. Do you know why? The coronavirus is attacking the respiratory system. One of the symptoms of this virus is difficulty in breathing. So, it is very important to know the respiratory rate per minute. Do you know the symbiotic relationship between plants and animals? Animals and humans needs oxygen in order to survive. When we breathe in, we take in oxygen. And when we breathe out, we exhale carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is a waste product, and this carbon dioxide is used by plants in order to produce food and to survive. The oxygen we breathe is produced by plants, and carbon dioxide is exhaled by human and animals during cellular respiration. What is the difference between the respiration in animals and respiration in plants? In plants, separate respiratory organs are absent. They do not have lungs like humans. Respiration takes place through diffusion. In animals, respiratory organs are present. For you to understand better, you are now going to watch a video on how the respiratory works.
What's up, dudes, and what's up, ladies? Brian here again, and in this video we are going to look at the respiratory system. We're going to look at the functions of the respiratory system, its components, how the system works, and some things you can do to maintain a healthy respiratory system. So, let's roll! The respiratory system's main functions include transporting air into and out of the lungs, protecting the body against harmful particles that are inhaled, and its most important function, the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide. So it's basically about breathing. Now let's take a look at a diagram and we'll go through the respiratory system's main components. Starting here with the nose and nasal cavity, the mouth or oral cavity. The pharynx is here, and it is what we consider the throat. The pharynx is considered part of the digestive system as well as the respiratory system, and it connects the respiratory openings to the larynx and esophagus. The esophagus is not part of the respiratory system, and I'll get to why I put it in the diagram in a minute. Next we have the larynx, which is also called the voice box because the vocal cords are located here. The trachea, also called the windpipe, is here, and it connects to the bronchi, which merge into smaller tubes called bronchioles. And the bronchioles connect to tiny air sacs called alveoli. And then down here is the diaphragm. Now let's go through a very basic look at what happens during the breathing process. So air is breathed in through the nose or mouth. When it enters through the nose, it gets spread out by these shelf-like things here called conchi. The conchi help humidify the air and trap some inhaled particles. They also warm the air. The air next passes through the pharynx and enters the trachea. One note here. This little flap-like structure is called the epiglottis, and it has an important function. During breathing, it is pointed upward, allowing airflow into the trachea. However, during swallowing, it folds down to prevent food from going into the trachea, directing the food into the esophagus. If food does enter the trachea, the gag reflex is induced to protect the respiratory system. The epiglottis here, this little thing, shows you how amazing the human body is. Anyways, back to airflow. So air continues down the trachea and enters the bronchi. From there it enters into smaller bronchioles and finally into the alveoli, which are surrounded by a network of capillaries. And this, folks, is where the magic happens. Oxygen enters the alveolar sac and the gas exchange occurs. Capillaries give up their waste carbon dioxide and pick up oxygen. Carbon dioxide is then exhaled through the air passage the oxygen was inhaled through, and the oxygen picked up by the blood returns to the heart. During this breathing process, the diaphragm is busy as well, contracting as we breathe in, which allow the lungs to expand, and relaxing as we exhale. Bottom line time. As you can see, the respiratory system has a major impact on overall health. As you may already know, breathing is kind of important. So, eat a healthy diet, maintain an active lifestyle, and keep up good hygiene. Remember, folks, be happy and be healthy. All right.
Did you understand how the lungs work? I hope so. Did you trace the pathway of oxygen from the atmosphere to the lungs? Did you trace the pathway of the oxygen from the lungs to the atmosphere? Respiration consists of 4 distinct processes. Number 1, pulmonary ventilation. It is the movement of air into and out of the lungs. Number 2, external respiration. It is the formal term of gas exchange. It describes both the bulk flow of air into and out of the lungs and the transfer of oxygen and carbon dioxide into the bloodstream through diffusion. Number 3, transport. It is the transport of oxygen and carbon dioxide between the lungs and tissues. And number 4, internal respiration. It is the diffusion of gases between the blood of the systemic capillaries and cells. Take note, it is the alveoli that may occur exchange in gases. Now, I have here a malunggay leaves or a horseradish leaves. I will use these leaves in order to explain further the part of the respiratory system instead of using grapes because it is very expensive. This is the trachea or the windpipe. These are the two bronchial tubes or the bronchi. The smaller systems connecting the bronchi to the leaves are called the bronchioles, and the individual leaves connecting to the bronchioles are the alveoli. And so, the end is near because we have only 30 minutes per session. Let's have the rundown to all the points to be remembered during the discussion. What are the parts of the respiratory system? How the lungs work? What are the 4 stages or distinct processes? I hope that you learned something new today and always have a mindset that learning is fun, and always have the mindset that learning science is fun. Now that we are done, you go over your module for all the activities and answer it patiently later. Always remember, patience is a virtue. If you have questions and clarifications, call me or message me at my CP number found on the additional activities in your module. See you again next week at 2 o'clock to 2:30 p.m. And tune in to DWND FM at CMD Cablevision Channel 11 and continue to follow the SDO Facebook page for more updates. Remember that education must continue amid the crisis. Let's embrace the new normal. Keep safe, everyone. Goodbye. Have a nice day and God bless everyone. This is your teacher on air, Teacher Teresa, signing off.